Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. If you're in the middle of writing a story, I hope it is going wonderfully and that you got a ton of words done today. If you're stuck, hopefully maybe one of these videos that I've been working on will be helpful to you and get you on the right track. This week we're going to be talking about first person versus third person point of view. So now when you're writing a book, you think about a lot of different factors. You think about the characters that you want, you think about the conflict that you're going to need to have, how the world building is going to work, maybe there's a magic system in there, how everything's going to fit together. And I feel like point of view is sometimes the last thing that authors think about, if they think about it at all, before they start diving into writing. Generally, if that's the case, the point of view that you write in comes out of just how naturally you've always written, or maybe how you are used to reading. So, what you read recently, or the type of point of view that you've read most overall. And that can work fine. But there are some considerations and strategies to it as well if you want to think that deeply into it, which, if you're watching this video, is probably the case. You're probably ready to dive in thinking about how you want to write, why you're writing, and how to combine all that together. So when you're already done strategizing about all of your characters and the mystery that you're writing, or the epic world building war of the end of the world, everything like that, you want to sit down and think about, when you know your characters, do you want to write them in first or third person point of view? Now, there are other options as well. So what I'm going to address today is first person versus third person limited. There's also third person omniscient, which basically means you are watching the characters from a sort of narrator or godlike point of view that can see sort of everybody, or second person, which means the narrator is speaking directly to the reader. So it's using you, it's talking to you, which is a very unique experience. And that's a whole other video probably unto itself. But for today, we're going to dive into, if you are going the conventional route of first person or third person limited, what's the difference? What should you use? Why should you use it? Everything like that. So the first consideration is, what feel do you want the book to have? So first person is speaking in first person. You're speaking as that character. So you're saying, I did this, or I will do this, or I have done this, or whatever tense your book is written in. That's, again, another whole other video. But you're speaking for that character. You're saying, I did this, I am doing this, I will do this. And so that is a very intimate connection. You are letting the reader step into that character's shoes. So it is a very close connection, and it is very emotional. It's very intimate, for lack of a better term. If you're doing third person limited, you're writing as the character in he or she or they, or whatever pronouns you want to use. You are writing that they are doing something, that she did this, that he's going here, that he left, he fought, he attacked, everything like that. So while it is still seeing from their perspective, you're still seeing their emotions, you're still in that one character's head, there's a bit of a distance there. You're not speaking as that character. The reader themselves are not diving into that person's shoes as, I am doing this. They're watching, he did this, she did this, etc., etc. So it can be less intimate. You can feel that difference even though you're still seeing those emotions, but it can give you a wider view of the world. So in first person, when you are experiencing it as them, you can quite literally only see exactly what they see, because you, again, are speaking as that character. In third person, while you're seeing from their perspective, there's still, again, that little bit of distance. So if you want to take a bit more time to describe the atmosphere or the town or the world or anything like that, it's not going to feel unnatural, because, again, you're speaking as watching this person, not as this person. So it has a bit of a different feel. So depending on how you want to write your story, that's a bit of a consideration. The second consideration is, what genre are you writing in? There are genre expectations. Now, you don't have to follow them, and there is no hard and fast rule, but there are, maybe not genre expectations, maybe that's the wrong way to say it, but reader expectations, what they generally see that's out there that you can very easily bend and break, but it might also help your book to stay within that. And it goes along the lines with what you want for the feel of the story as well. So, for example, many romance novels are written in first person nowadays, which is actually a change from 20, 30 years ago when they were almost all written in third person. But especially new adult, anything sort of in the YA sector, anything like that, a lot of times are written in first person, most of the time in dual point of view. So it's something to consider. if you are writing in that genre, that might help you to gain the attention of that market, to more naturally fit into that market, and when the readers start reading, they're going to immediately recognize how that book is written. Now again, that is not to say all romance novels are written as first person. That is not at all the case. So I highly recommend you look at comps that are similar to your book to see what they're doing, to see if again, you want to go with that flow to sort of fit into that realm, or if for a specific reason you want to fight against what they're doing to stand out. It is a choice in either direction, and either way can help or hinder. But the same thing goes for outside of romance as well. If you're writing an urban fantasy, most urban fantasies are generally in first person, specifically first person single point of view, generally because the main character is very deeply involved in the plot and the mechanics of the story, whether they're a detective and it's a murder mystery, or they're a magician and it's some sort of magical plot, anything like that. So they can be in the action. So you're seeing it from their shoes, and they're involved in all the components, so you don't run into a part of the plot where you might need to see them hearing what's going on at the police station, but the main character is a baker, so he or she has no reason to be at the police station at that time. So you get, again, that more intimate connection with the first person, and generally they're very involved, so you don't need the multiple point of view necessarily, although you certainly can do that as well. Or for a third example, fantasy, specifically anything like epic fantasy or anything big world, big scope like that, generally tends to run third person. So you can have multiple point of views in that as well, but you're having that little bit of distance so you can have a bit more of that atmosphere, that description, which will help you in trying to show the reader this massive world that you're trying to introduce them to, as well as you can have the multiple POVs. So unlike in an urban fantasy where they're intimately connected, in an epic fantasy, generally they're sort of new to this, so you can introduce them slowly to the situation, as well as have multiple characters that then also have that intimate knowledge, so you can see things from different perspectives in different places and really get the feel and the scope of this world, as well as seeing all of the political machinations and everything like that from all of the different perspectives. So again, it depends on the feel that you want, as well as the genre that you're writing in, and how that all combines to what you decide you want for your book. No rhyme or reason as to what you have to do, just what has been done and what readers tend to expect, and whether or not you want to go along with those expectations, or whether it'd be better for you and your book to go the other direction. Finally, the third consideration is what style works best for you. So if you really, really love writing in first person, it's what you love to read, it is what comes most naturally to you when you sit down and put words on the page, everything like that, your book most likely should be in first person, because that's what's going to best showcase your plot, your character emotions. That's what's going to allow you to write, to get the words on the page and be able to focus on the intricate details of writing and characterization and plotting and everything like that, versus focusing on remembering that you need to be speaking about him, not me, I, the first person narration, everything like that. Now again, maybe this is a point where you need to push yourself into a different point of view writing style, because it's going to take your story to the next level and it will fit in with the genre, but that is something you want to really consider before you do that, because again, then you're going to be focusing on that in addition to all of the other components of your story, versus just being able to hear what your voice inside your head or your plot or your outline or however you write is saying, and being able to mold your story on the page naturally as you go. So as you start to write, definitely something to consider as you dive in, especially when it comes to how you want the book to feel and whether or not you're going to have multiple points of view and what point of view those should be from. Hopefully this has been helpful as you dive into your next story. I wouldn't recommend changing your point of view halfway through. That would be a bit disastrous, but it's been done, I promise you. So whatever stage you're at, definitely take a look at this and see what's best for you and your story that'll help you in the long run. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I would love to know what you're enjoying hearing about, what you'd love to hear more of, everything like that. Otherwise, I'm just throwing ideas on the page to see what sticks. So anyway, I would love to hear from you, and until next week, keep writing.